Okay, we'll call this meeting to order at 9:01 on January, what is the date? 6th? Fourth, okay. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Frank, can you give that door? Sure, thank you. Okay, so we're here to talk about a warrant article, okay? We were all at the recent budget committee meeting.
Yep.
And I believe we were asked to withdraw the warrant.
Yes, we were.
So that's what we're here to talk about. This is the warrant to,
Can we read the warrant? That would be better, I think. Do we have it somewhere?
We do.
I do, I did not
Yeah,
bring
it's a good idea.
that one in, but I will go grab that. I have all the stuff that goes behind it. Let me go grab that real quick.
okay?
Before we start on this, I will tell you that the Budget Committee does not have the right under any jurisdiction or its constitution to ask a government organization to pull a warrant article.
Okay.
They can ask, they have a job to recommend or not recommend if it has budget consequences. If it doesn't, then they don't have to. But they have no right to ask you to withdraw it.
Okay,
And I think it was one member of the Budget Committee. So the Budget Committee should have voted to, but at least they knew enough not to do that.
okay.
Is it any to further expand on that, as we were speaking with our colleagues around the state and obviously getting some advice from people who have been in the position? Technically, we really didn't need to bring this to the budget
Right.
committee, which
Yep.
we did out of our need and desire to be transparent and to be communicative with all of our stakeholders. So because there is no new tax, we do not have to do that.
Does it need to go to
So
the
there's
selectmen?
no,
Nope,
No.
it does not.
so there is
No.
no
I just wanted to
tax
say that
impact.
publicly.
There's
No
no new
new
tax. That's the language that would be on a warrant
Yes.
article. There's
No
no new
new
tax.
I think that's the language that's on the
Yeah.
SAU 21.
Yeah, we think we saw that.
Did you want to, Frank, did you want to have that read?
Yes, could I have that read for the sake of the audience?
Yep, shall the school district adopt the revision to RSA 198:4/B2 in 2020, which allows the district to retain up to 5% of the district's net assessment in any year, and allows the expenditure of any amount retained after the school board first holds a public hearing, and further requires the school board to include a report on any retained fund balance in its annual report to the district.
Okay, so
And
that's,
then no new tax impact.
okay.
Cool.
Floor is open for discussion. We've heard from Ginny.
I want to start by pointing out to the voters at home that this is something that is in place at SAU 21. It will be on essentially the same ballot. This is something they have been voting on. One of my concerns during the meeting, when I was kind of trying to talk when it wasn't my turn, is that there was concern amongst the budget committee members that voters weren't going to be able to understand this. It was going to be so confusing, and yet it is something they have been understanding or understood, and they have been voting on and have already approved on essentially the same ballot at the same time that they will be voting on ours.
Ginny?
Unfortunately, with this type of warrant article, some government boards have made it a slush fund that they decide what they're going to do in December to spend it. That is not the intention of this board.
You can't with the laws that are under the RSA, and that's why I chose this one, not a contingency fund.
I have a question, okay. Right now, this is to take care of unanticipated emergencies.
Exactly.
Your example was a boiler that broke, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, without this, a boiler breaks, we don't have the amount of money. We can have an emergency meeting, okay? And the townspeople can either vote to help us out and get it fixed or not. I don't know what we'll do if they didn't. Okay. Under this new, RSA that we're looking at adopting, we put 5% aside,
Up to 5%.
up to 5%. We can't spend that unless we have a public hearing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's an emergency.
Right, so I'm not really seeing the difference between adopting this and not adopting it. Somebody help me out.
I think the main problem is they don't understand the difference between what exists in some organizations and what this would be. Because some have watched meetings where in December, you get trucks, you get, some different things, and they see all this money being spent, which is perfectly all right with their fund because they have the majority of the Board of Selectmen that votes for it. But the majority of the governing board who is in this to do it,
Whoever that may be.
whoever that may be, this is different, as Mariah explained. So we have to really accent the difference.
Yeah.
It also can benefit the town in some years if we don't have a fund balance and we have had that being held, we could take some of that money and return it that year if needed to give a fund balance back. So it could be a give and take too in that fund. It doesn't just have to always just sit there. If we feel like it's too much and now we wanna bring it down to 2%, we can take that and add it to my fund balance to have returned too. So it can help
But
with tax, keeping it stable.
But that's not really the intent.
Not intention,
that
however, it's
five.
one of the positive selling points.
Uh-huh,
And I didn't bring that point up because I didn't wanna confuse
sure.
people even more, because understanding, if they don't understand how to get that percentage, to explain to them how to keep a stable, tax flow every year would have been too confusing.
So I think everybody sitting here has a pretty good idea of this warrant article. And it was discussed at length at the budget meeting and so on and so forth. So there's the warrant article and understanding it. Maybe the bigger piece is us withdrawing one of our own warrant articles. And I'm gonna turn the
You
floor over to
can't.
Ginny.
You can't withdraw yes, you can as an elected board, you could decide that, but the budget committee does not have any right to tell us to withdraw it. That is not in their prerogative. Their prerogative is only to recommend and not recommend. They really can't recommend that we put forward the default budget rather than the regular budget. You can't do that. You either recommend or not recommend. That's your job, that's your purview. Individually, somebody could have called you up and said, hey, Les, could you consider this? But you don't say it in an open meeting where you're going above and beyond what your goal is.
So help me out. I was at the meeting. Did the budget committee vote to ask us? Did the budget committee vote
No,
on
one
this
member,
at
as
all?
far as I know.
There were two.
Two.
One friendlier than the other, but just saying he thought maybe if they had more time to understand it for next year. I think he did not, neither of them seemed to understand that they couldn't ask us directly to do it, but they were asking us to do it, so
Okay.
we didn't think it was a big deal.
They did do, they did recommend it or not recommend it, they voted for that. And if we do keep the
Well,
warrant
I'm
article-
sorry, I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah,
They voted to not.
not recommend, well,
They
it
did.
was,
No, Frank
What was
with-
it?
No, Frank withdrew his
I
motion.
said we'll
Yes,
take it out for the
Yes.
time being.
Frank
okay.
had made the motion to
Okay.
ask them to approve it. He withdrew his motion,
I
whoever
withdrew
seconded
mine.
him withdrew his motion, so they didn't take any action on it. But my
Okay.
question is, if they don't need to take any action on it, do we need to do anything?
no,
So
you do not.
if
I
we
asked.
don't need their approval to have it on to put it forth as a warrant, then it seems to me all we need to do in this meeting is, we can talk to Gordon, get more information on it, and be prepared to discuss it at the deliberative session.
Which is January 12th,
Yeah.
I believe.
Doesn't it seem like that's, cause I
Yeah.
assumed that member, at least a member of the budget committee will be there and will raise his concerns, that's my guess,
They will all be there,
yes.
because at the end of the meeting, they have to decide if they, during the meeting, after the public discussion, because that's what it's for, is public discussion. No, part of the municipal government should be talking at that meeting, it's for public discussion.
Right,
And then after the public discussion is closed, then the budget committee will go in and see if they're gonna change any of their recommendations or not recommendations.
I hadn't seen them do, okay.
So I have a question, and Ginny, I defer to Ginny because she's been a member of the budget committee for many years. We really can't take it off. We put that warrant article forward, correct?
Correct,
Well,
but we as a board could vote to withdraw it,
We could,
because it's our warrant article.
even after we've given it to the budget committee?
Yeah,
Okay,
but, we could do that, but
okay.
I
So-
just have one question,
Okay.
regarding the warrant article. If an emergency did occur in, let's say, February, and we lost the boiler, alright, by the time we go, and this is just me thinking out loud, if we need to immediately react to that because the kids are gonna be in a cold situation, and it's an emergency thing, how does that work with this warrant article to move forward in an exponential manner to get the thing fixed when you have to have a
You would have-
meeting?
You'd
Yeah.
have to have an emergency meeting, and then you would just vote on it, yes or no. And we'd already since the funds would already be there, we could just go and do that.
you'd have to take it out of, then if the warrant article didn't pass, then you'd have to
Well,
eliminate programs and
right,
teachers
that's
and
the-
whatever.
So let's say, so let's say it's not this February, it's next February. So let's say
Right.
warrant article's passed, we have this money available. But I think what Frank is saying, it takes time. You have to we have to have a meeting, then we have to have a public meeting to release the funds. That's the timing of that.
It's one
we don't
meeting,
wanna
we just have
cancel-
to have
Okay.
a 24-hour notice
Okay.
to have a meeting.
Okay.
Have the meeting, yes, may vote,
Within
and
a
then,
week or so.
yeah, so
Where
we'll
public,
continue.
make sure the public is
Yeah.
invited. Okay.
Right,
And you'd
I think
know,
that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
question, right?
Yeah, that
I
was
mean,
my
I think it
concern,
would be
is
way
the
faster than
timing
having
is-
to go to the
100%,
town
yeah.
to ask for funds.
Okay, so we've kind of dealt with those 2 points. What's the pleasure of the board right now? Are we ready to have a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion because it was more explained today than it was back, I believe it was what, the 6th?
Oh, no, December,
Yeah.
no,
Uh,
December 13th maybe?
And since there is no new tax impact on the voters, and since SAU 21 has had this resolution that has passed by the voters, as well as other SAUs within the state, I recommend that we maintain or keep this on the ballot.
I second that.
Okay. Other than the question that pops up in my mind, do we even have to take a vote? But that's okay, we
Yeah.
can do it?
Yeah.
We're
I think we
affirming.
should.
Yeah, I would do that.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded to leave the warrant as is, okay? Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? 4-0-0 and 1 board member is excused. That is what we needed to accomplish at this meeting.
At this point, are you gonna call Catherine Hataki?
So I had talked to her, letting her know that we were having this meeting, and she actually suggested to please not take it off.
Right, but
Right.
So I will
Call her and tell
let
her
her
not.
what exactly happened. The only other thing I do need from the board is on my warrant article, I legally do not have to put if the municipal budget committee recommended it or not. So that is up to you if you want me to keep that number on there, or if I should just completely take it off and just have
There is no
that you
number.
recommended it.
There's no number
Well,
yet.
it was kind of,
Was there?
there was only one person that would have recommended it.
Is there
But-
official vote?
They-
No, official vote to remove
You're
it.
guessing.
Yeah,
We
right.
can't,
It's a official vote to remove it, so there was one person that voted
No,
against
there was
removal.
not a
So
vote to
I don't
remove
have to
it.
do
No.
anything
I
on
think
that.
we should
There was
just
no
leave it
vote
as
at all.
is, let it come up on the January 12th.
Okay.
What you- there was no
Whatever
vote.
decision, be done with it.
What-
he withdrew the motion,
Yeah.
there was no vote.
What
Okay.
you do, to be fair, is to call Catherine Pataki.
Yep.
Say the school board had a meeting today and voted 4-0, cause one was excused.
Yep.
To put the article forward. I'm just letting you know, if the budget committee, if you as chairman of the budget committee feel that the budget committee needs to do something, then you do it. Otherwise, we'll see you on January 12th.
Okay,
The other piece is that we're letting the voters decide.
Right,
And I think that's the right thing to do too at the end of the day,
right,
is to bring it to the voters.
yep. And we're giving due process to the budget committee, cause if she
Yep.
doesn't feel they need a meeting, she won't call one.
That's right.
okay.
Do we have any other business this morning?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Second from anyone?
Second?
Seconded, Ginny? Discussion? All those in favor? We are adjourned.
All right.